'cause I would do anything for love, but I won't get vaxxed. No, I won't get vaxxed. My name's Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. I didn't know which thing to cut to then, so I just
cut to me instead.
I wasn't sure which one cut to which. So
yeah, well, it's because you changed the cameras. It's got to be 1, 2, 3. 1 for me, 2 for the two shot, and 3 for me.
Yeah, no,
3 for you. I mean,
I prefer it this way actually. I feel like it's way easier because then I can cut between us two really quickly, and then I know the one on the end is our middle one.
Okay, I mean, you put the middle one on the side. Got it. All right, mate. Well,
yeah. So because these are the two that you're going to cut between the fastest, right?
What? You can't do this?
No, that's harder.
It's
considerably harder to do that.
Okay, mate. Okay. Well, that was, of course, Meatloaf, who very sadly died recently as a result of his political decision to not be vaccinated.
No, hold on. Is that true?
Yeah, so he had pre-existing medical conditions, but he said he didn't want to get vaccinated for political reasons. He said it was for political reasons, and that didn't want to get vaccinated. And then he caught COVID, and due to his poor health, was killed. So he died for his politics, like a fool.
So... Oh, that's really interesting because I heard that he died and I was like, that's very sad, Meatloaf. Iconic rock and roller with like, I just remember that fucking song and that music video being played over.
Which one?
That one over again. That one. Hell? No, that one.
Yeah.
Just being played over and over again and it's like a 8-minute music video.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you see that, you're like, oh my God, I'm in for 8 minutes.
I got 8 minutes
I'm
of this
in
shit
for 8 minutes, and he's like a wolfman, and they're coming to his house in his mansion, and he's singing. And it's like, it's cool. It's a really cool clip. But I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know about this after the first like 5 times because they just played it on like constant repeat in the day,
Just back in the 80s.
Back in the 90s, I suppose. But yeah, always on TV. So here we go. So
he was anti-vax, anti-mask.
He was out,
and now he's anti-life.
Now he's dead.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. Lessons to be learned here, people.
Valuable lessons.
Valuable lessons to be learned here, people. He was 74 or so, and he could have potentially had, he had some health issues, but potentially he had 10, 20, who knows how many more years ahead of him. But he chose not to listen to the experts, and now he's dead. One thing that I did really, his music was not bad. I quite enjoyed some of his bits and pieces, and I just liked the idea as well that he was this sort of fat, sweaty rocker when, everyone else was a glam, good-looking glam 80s, 90s, rockers, and just, he was the antithesis of that. Just this fat, sweaty rocker who just rocked hard, and that's cool. And then to be not just successful, but hugely successful, despite the handicap of being physically unattractive, that's very commendable.
Yeah.
And so there's hope. There's hope for us, and there's hope for the listeners.
He was bitch tits Bob in Fight Club.
Oh, he was, wasn't he? He was. Yeah, I forgot about that. Great,
so
great
even
film.
the fact that he would play that type of role, which is, really, taking the piss.
Yeah.
Well, it's not taking the piss, but it's not, again, it's not the type of role that Bon Jovi is probably going to play. So I didn't realize. So I'm a lot less sad about his death now, to be perfectly honest.
So it was completely self-imposed.
Yeah, that's kind of my takeaway.
There was a global pandemic, and this was a form of suicide because he was a sick person during a global pandemic who was outspokenly anti-mask and anti-vax.
Yeah.
he just really sacrificed himself
Because in all the sort of
upon the altar of ignorance.
obituaries and eulogies or whatever of him,
No, I won't get vaxxed.
none of that was meant. Like, it was
No.
never mentioned his cause of death. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it was just from, because he had health issues.
Yeah.
It was from something like that. Now you've dropped this whole bombshell on me. It's changed my whole perspective on it.
Yeah. Jab chat.
Someone else who also died who's dead this week, who died a couple of weeks ago now, Bob Saget.
But he did.
Full House. Full House has lost one of its members.
It's a slightly less full house now. It's a reasonably full house.
It's a more manageable living space house. Very sad. Now, again, this one hit me. It really hit me because I was like, man, okay, like, he wasn't super old or anything.
Yeah.
He was not outspoken anti-vax or anything. He was a sensible guy. But I used to hate Full House. Like, like as a kid, right? You just, you like shit, right? Like anything that you watch, you think is kind of cool, right? You're like, man, I just really enjoy. You good?
Yeah, you just mind your business.
Are you good, mate? You just like, look, this is awesome, and then you watch it in 5 years' time, and you go, what a piece of shit I was that I liked this, that I had any kind of, like this tasteless piece of shit. But even back then, whenever Full House came on, and it came on, every single fucking weekday at like 5 p.m. or 5:30 or whenever, and that music kicked in, I was like, fuck this show. This show is an abomination to my 12-year-old's perception of things that are good.
So why did that one hit you then? If you didn't even like the show. See, I liked the show. I was all about the show.
Because you had absolutely no taste.
I didn't mind the show.
You were in that tasteless void.
But you're more upset about Bob Saget than I am.
Yes. But the thing is, Bob Saget was not, I guess he is defined by Full House to, a generation of people. But Bob Saget was a big comedian before Full House and after Full House, in which he was the opposite. Like, it's like, imagine the filthiest, dirtiest, most perverted jokes possible, most of which you probably couldn't even tell now, right? That's his MO. That's what he does. That type of comedy. And then they said, hey, you, the antithesis of everything that we want to make in this sitcom, you think would be perfect to head this sitcom. And so essentially what happened is he got trapped by success. So he did Full House and went on for 8-9 seasons. Everyone fucking knew him from Full House. And then he also was doing the other abomination that I absolutely hated with a fucking passion, which was America's Funniest Home Videos.
That was quite annoying.
It was so fucking bad. Like, these two things, like, back to back, the two worst pieces of television content you could ever possibly, but they're also incredibly successful.
And what did he die of?
I don't think they know, but so
COVID.
How I came to know, he was like vaccinated. In fact, there was a rumor going around that he was vaccinated like a day before he died because of the vaccine.
But there's a rumor with everybody who dies that they got the vaccine the day before. That's the anti-vaxxers' favorite thing is someone dies, blame the vaccine, and then figure it out later.
But anyway, so actually, he had two sisters that passed away very young through different things. He ran different foundations that gave to the diseases that took them both. He was a hugely charitable guy. He had this whole other funny, sort of life as a comedian that was much more impressive than fucking Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos. And also, if you do get the opportunity, listen to another great podcast, not quite as good as our podcast, but a very good podcast by Mark Maron, where he sort of interviewed him and talked to him about all this stuff and talked to him about that perception that people had of him when he was really nothing like that. And it's really quite fascinating, but what you do is get to know the sort of the funnier, much more engaging, much more interesting person. Despite the fact that I hated that show with a passion, you also can't deny the institutional nature of that show and how we were all aware of it as sort of children growing up.
It's a bit like this show in the sense that
Yeah.
you and I this is the PC version of us. This is the PC clean cut version of us on the show here. And then when the camera stops rolling and the stream stops, bam, we head into that really the true filth comes out.
Perverted.
The true perverted humor comes out, but we can only take it so far on this show, lest the internet ban us.
You did say you were transitioning last week.
I did. I'm trans. I'm transitioning my career. I'm transitioning my career to the more creative career. Yeah. Well, it is a very sad episode of Who's Dead this week. So there's obviously Meatloaf, there's Bob Saget, but there is also, a little closer to home, there is also Juliana Cayena Bonilla Herrera. Now, Juliana was a friend of mine who I knew in real life, who is in the news lately. So I knew her in real life. We were not super close, but we had I met her on a number of occasions at various social events. We were Facebook friends, and we so we traveled in similar circles. And it's been in the news quite a bit lately that she was murdered in Christchurch. The body was found in her house. This weekend, just gone. So between 6 and 8 p.m. something happened, and they've announced today what happened, which is that her neighbour, somebody, has been arrested, but this neighbour went over there and, according to Stuff, subjected her to an extremely violent attack in her home, including being restrained and suffering knife wounds. So she died a very horrific death. So rest in peace to Juliana, because that's a really horrible piece of news. That you'll no doubt be reading about and hearing about in the coming days in the papers over here in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, very sorry to hear that. Did I know her?
It's plausible that you met her at some point, but I don't think so, because she wasn't working on any of our productions or anything like that.
Right.
So I don't think so. But I worked on a production with her. She had a partner at the time, and I worked on a production with that partner. So she was not completely removed from our productions and from the filmmaking biz.
But at some point she moved to Christchurch.
She moved to Christchurch, like a year or two ago, something like that. Christchurch is really the Florida of New Zealand.
There's a lot of along with Dunedin.
No, Dunedin's not too bad. The shittest crimes are always in Christchurch and Auckland.
Christchurch is, terrible for horrific murders.
Yeah.
But Dunedin has its fair share of horrific murders.
Well,
we really go above and beyond with our horrific murders too.
You're talking about the two Davids, David Bain and David Gray.
Yes.
Because those are both big ones.
And there's also Clayton Weatherston, lest we forget.
He who killed a student.
Yeah,
horrifically.
In a horrific way. And then there was also the guy that...
the Christchurch shooter was based in Dunedin and drove up to Christchurch, planned his everything in Dunedin, but then drove up to Christchurch.
And there was also another guy that, after having a divorce recently, came in and tried to blow away his kids, I believe.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. So we've got some problems in Dunedin, but Christchurch is definitely the worst. So don't move to those places.
Well, Dunedin's all right. Just definitely not Christchurch. I would not recommend Christchurch. The Florida of New Zealand.
So, yeah, very sorry to hear that. But back to Jab Chat.
Okay.
Novak's Djokovic. Now, we mentioned Novak Djokovic a while ago because he had been detained in Australia because he was going over to play in the Australian Open. He was also a somewhat outspoken anti-vaxxer on his Instagram and stuff, allegedly. And basically rocked on over. First, caught COVID, allegedly, and there's a lot of consternation over the idea that he never had COVID, and that he said that he had COVID to get an exemption from being vaccinated at the Open to get over to the Open.
Yeah.
But there was all sorts of fucked up things about the whole thing, and obviously everyone's free Novak, not everyone actually. his country was like free Novaks.
Yeah.
Free Novaks. He needs to play. He's the number one player. But basically there was all sorts of things. He'd filled out his form wrong. He hadn't applied for his exemption in the the appropriate amount of time. And basically, and fucking good on the Australian government, they were like, yeah, get the fuck on your bike and get the fuck back out of here because you haven't done any of the things you're meant to do.
So entitled. Oh, I'm good at hitting a ball around. Therefore, the rules don't apply to me. No, you stupid cunt.
And I think that's the beauty.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's the beauty of this story because, what essentially is the case most of the time is that the rules don't apply to rich people. They don't apply. They can get exceptions. You can if you hit a ball around really well. Normally on any other day, right, he would have fucking got in and they would have been like, yeah, sweet as. But because
of the global pandemic, which is killing millions of people.
Yeah. So if he was, and also beforehand, either he had it and he was posing with babies and whatever else and like shaking school kids' hands and like, yeah. I have been diagnosed as COVID positive right now. High fives to get in for the photo. Or that was just all bullshit, literally to avoid getting vaccinated to go over as a vaccinated person.
And what's the conclusion? Because I heard he was coming, I heard he was staying.
He's fucking out, mate. They've shipped him back off.
They're like, you're off, mate.
He's gone. They're like, basically the three different people were like, yeah, look, you haven't followed any of the protocols.
Yeah.
So we can't somehow, just because you're a rich number one player in the world, give you some sort of exemption to this.
Yeah.
So fuck off.
You dense motherfucker.
And
should have spent more time reading books, less time hitting balls.
It was just a thing of beauty because it's so rare that happens. It's very, very rare. Most of the time he would have been let in. So
shout out to Carlos on the live stream, Carlos William Kibi, who is saying, am I your one and only listener? Now, you might be our one and only listener on Facebook, maybe. I'm not sure, but we do have other listeners on YouTube, so shout out to our other listeners on YouTube and Twitch as well. We're restreaming.
Our other 4 listeners.
There you go. Not including you.
Yeah. No. I didn't include me specifically.
Yeah. So that's good. It's good. So after this, will be going. There's going to be a shorter shout out to Paulette. Thank you for following us and hitting like. So I will be in about half an hour. This show will be ending, and I will be going along to go skateboarding. Roller skating rather. Learn how to roller skate. I've got a beginner's roller skating class at 5:30 p.m. Today, and I'll be heading down there roller skating about. I had my first hoon on the skates yesterday because the director, because I've got a role in a music video where I've got to be roller skating, and the director was like, "So Harley, can you roller skate?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I can. Of course I can roller skate. Not a problem. Just give me the skates. I'll be there."
Now, is it roller skating or roller blading?
Roller skating.
Right. So we're really going far back in time now.
Yeah.
It's literally that you actually had to buy some vintage roller skates because they don't sell them new anymore.
It's a roller disco is what it is. So it's a roller disco scene. So the band is playing and then there's a roller disco and I'm roller discoing about in my roller skates. And so I've borrowed a pair of skates and I'm going to be getting some lessons. I've got 3 lessons that the production is paying for between now and the shoot. And then on the day, I'm going to be playing, as someone who's basically learning how to skate, but who at the beginning is, not very good and by the end is reasonably good. So obviously I've got to get reasonably good between now and then.
So when is it? When is the shoot?
It's about 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks.
Well,
so how hard can it be?
Yeah, I'd want to maybe put in a little bit of practice. I'd maybe want to spend every single afternoon practicing from now until then. Yeah.
Nah, I'll just cruise on through. I'll just roll on by.
I'll just do it twice before then and hope that they don't care when I can't go backwards.
When I can't go backwards and do dance moves and stuff. So yesterday I went for my first skate and I got to say, it is intensive cardio and the skates are really heavy. You kind of don't imagine the skates are that heavy. Actually, they're really heavy. So you're jumping, but you can't jump very high because they're super heavy and Yeah, and you're carrying them. They're very heavy. So the whole thing is a lot harder than I was thinking it would be. Nevertheless, I did do some pretty sick moves, and I'm picking it up pretty quickly. It's very, there's a lot of translatable skills associated with skateboarding and roller skating, I've found, but then also combine that with my my regular ice skating adventures. When in my youth, in my teen years, I did quite a lot of ice skating down at the Big Chill in Dunedin. And so
the fucking Big Chill.
The Big Chill in Kaikoura Valley in Dunedin. And so
does the Big Chill still exist?
No idea.
I feel like it can't possibly, because I feel like the idea of a whole bunch of people roller skating at the Big Chill was like cool when we were kids, but couldn't be any less cool now in present day.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, like the idea that people have Netflix now. Because that's the thing.
So they don't go outside and do stuff
because when we
anymore.
were kids, we didn't have the fucking internet. So can you imagine how boring our lives were just day to day?
So like
when you went home, you didn't have your phone, okay? There was no phone. There was no fucking text, right? There was no checking anything online. There was no YouTube videos. There was nothing. So literally you got home, you go, hey, mum. And she's like, yeah, I'm busy doing the cooking. And you're like, cool. I'm going to call my friend on the landline. We're going to go to the Big Chill.
Yeah.
Like,
did you ever go there? Did you ever
I went there many times.
Yeah, many times. Were you any good?
I was pretty shit. But
I was pretty good.
Not only was I pretty shit, but like, I was just thinking about it when you were talking about roller skating, because I was like, have I even ever put on roller skates in my life?
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if yesterday was possibly my first time.
And I think the answer is yes, I have, you know, when I was like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
You know, I think I definitely have.
Back when roller skates were still current.
Before we transitioned to being cool with roller blades.
Wow.
Until we then.
That wasn't me.
You know, so I did have a pair of roller blades, which are much easier, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it's a one straight line that you're going out, right? With the roller skates have got the wheels, so
but
it's
also,
just a bit...
The big difference I've found between the roller skates and the roller blades or ice skates is that roller blades and ice skates, you can sort of drift to stop. So you can be skating along, then you can turn sideways and drift to stop.
Yep.
You know, whereas it seems like you can't really do that with the skates because there's too many. I don't know.
Well, you've got the brake on the skates, right?
Yeah, but
on
it's
the
on the
back
front.
or the front.
No, it's on the front.
Oh, yeah, so that's
I haven't figured out how to use that yet. Stopping's part of the
I have
problem.
done it then because I remember that.
Yeah.
The braking on the front. So
Paulette on the live stream says that she's listening to this show live right now at the hairdresser while getting her hair done on speakerphone. So shout out to all of the people in the hair studio.
Hello,
there.
everyone.
Shout out
Thank
to
you for joining us.
Sorry about guys' potty mouth before.
What did I say?
Fuck. You said fuck several times, and I'm sure that
I do apologize.
The person who runs the hair salon will be like, can you please turn that down? There's other customers in here, and they don't need to hear guys' potty mouth. Speaking of haircuts, though, I got, not from the same place, I got the shittest haircut the other day. It was expensive. He had one job, right?
Trim your beard.
Trim my beard. My beard is literally longer on one side than on the other. Like one job, man, one job. You've got to, and then, so basically I walked in there, right? And I pointed to Drake on the wall because I go to this cool, trendy, you know, hip hop gangster place. You know, there's like, you know, graffiti on the walls and like everyone's real like super cool.
Yeah.
You know, and
you imagine yourself being that.
Well, I am one of them.
Yeah.
I am one of them. So I walked in and I pointed to Drake on the wall and Drake's beard. Jake had a beard and I was like, I want to look like that, please. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah. So just like give me some length down the bottom. Let's get the sides shorter. Let's get the length longer. You know, elongate it a little.
Yeah.
And then let's
hide the double chin.
And then let's do a fade. Okay, we want to fade down the beard. The beard wants to fade down to basically nothing and then fade back up again into my hair on top.
Right.
And for the people listening at home who are not watching on the live stream, I'm a bald man on top. And then so the back, I wanted a mullet. So at the very back, I'm growing it out. So it's getting longer at the back. And then it's meant to fade on the side and then go up. And then the beard is meant to be even on both sides. Well, let me tell you, he fucked up all of those things.
I don't think he was listening.
I'd never used this guy before. It was like I went in there and the normal people weren't there. It was some other guy, and I was like, well, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. And I did literally point to Drake, so I mean, I can't really see how he could fuck this up any further. But he did. And
do you think he saw a disconnect between you and Drake?
Yes.
when you pointed.
Here's what I think happened. I think he saw me. This like basically saw me as like a middle class, white man, like a schlubby dad. It's just a schlubby dad, and he was like, oh, this guy doesn't want like a cool hipster fade or anything like that. He wants like a schlubby dad cut. He's going for the schlubby dad look.
Yeah.
And he thinks he wants a fade, but actually that's not what he wants. And let me tell you, that is what I wanted. I wanted the Drake fade. And I got him to trim my eyebrows. I was thinking maybe I'd get like a little nick taken out of my eyebrow.
2 nicks, mate.
Yeah.
2 nicks for the 2 people that you killed.
Exactly, man. And and so yeah, I was very disappointed. And then after all of that, right? So I was like, okay, so he didn't cut anything short enough, basically. Like nothing was short enough, no fade. The mullet, you can still barely see the mullet. And then at the end of it, he smiled and charged me $55 for my troubles. And I was like, all right. Now I could have been like, can we keep going on this, man? Because you've got another half hour's work here. Yeah. But the truth is that I was like, it was just meant to be quick. I was like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. So I was like, well, screw it. I mean, look, it's going to look like shit anyway, even if you'd done it properly. Because I'm a middle-aged schlubby dad.
You're like, how much better was it really going to look? Fuck it.
So I don't know if you can really see, but what he's done is instead of a fade, what's really happened is he's kind of just made the top a little bit longer, like on the sides here is a little bit longer, and so it just makes me look extra old. Like it really accentuates the baldness. It just really accentuates the baldness. So yeah, and this is how I'm walking around now. I was in a movie the other day. I acted in a movie the other day looking exactly like this. But I don't know. I think I look pretty cool. What do you think, Guy?
I mean, yeah. I was trying to picture like what it's called. Yeah, like those side bits on the side. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, well, they're too long. It would be different if they were shorter. So so that I won't say where it is because I do go there and I still do intend to go there again. So I won't.
You're going back there.
I won't throw them under the bus.
Back there next week.
But yeah, like you can see on the live stream, it's all a bit much. I feel like Jamie Oxley, 5150 listener Jamie Oxley, cruising the outback. He would approve of the mullet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Paulette says that everyone's laughing at the hair salon, so that's good.
So that's good. That's what we want. That's what they want. And they can't see the hair probably. They're probably just listening and imagining. Yes, well, that's good. Tell them to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other places. Just search for Pigville. The key word is Pigville. That's the name we make movies under. And this show is called The Guy and Harley Podcast, and we look forward to welcoming you all into the fold, dear hairdresser people. Now, I have something else to say here.
Okay, good.
Unless you do.
No, I can wait.
Okay. Well, what it was that I got called by the university, I believe it was the University of Auckland, about the possibility of partaking in a microdosing LSD microdosing trial. So I would have to take a microdose of LSD every 3 days.
So when you say though that you were contacted by them,
I mean there was a drug dealer.
Do you mean that you reached out to them and asked if there was any LSD trials that you could maybe do?
I mean there was a student drug dealer, and I called him for some LSD, and I bought it from him, and now I'm going to eat it. No. So what it was, it came up on Facebook. A mutual friend said or shared it or something. I can't remember. Somebody shared it, and it was like, hey, would you be interested in doing an LSD trial? And I was like, heavens, yes, I would. As you know, I mean, I've no beef with psychedelics. I quite enjoy psychedelics, and I like the idea of advancing the science and getting free LSD, and also the idea of microdosing it. The idea, because I have tried microdosing it myself, but I always, I always gave myself too much.
You always end up overdosing on your microdosing.
Yeah, exactly. And so what they did was they called me. So I filled out an application online like ages ago. I actually forgot I'd even done it. And then they called me yesterday or the day before, and they're like, "Hey, so we're keen. We like your application. The only thing is we need to find out when you last tried LSD because it said, have you had LSD before in the application or something? And I was like, yeah. And then it was like, well, when was the last time you'd had it? And so it turned out that it was roughly like May last year, I think. Like it was quite a long time ago, you know.
I thought you were going to say you'd taken so much LSD you'd forgotten when you last had that LSD.
Maybe. But no, it was about May 2020, I think. Or it was quite a while, or maybe it was 21. It was quite a while ago anyway. It was quite a while ago. And they were like, no, sorry, you can't do it then because you've done it.
Because your brain is fucked.
Too recently.
Because your brain is drug fucked from all the LSD you've taken, so we can't give you any more.
Yeah.
To assess the amount of
that.
fuckedness that your brain would be after the LSD that we give you, because your brain is already fucked from your intake of LSD.
Maybe, although there's no evidence to suggest that LSD fucks your brain.
Isn't there?
No, there's literally nobody's ever overdosed from it.
Oh, that's not the same though.
You can't overdose from it. And then as far as like, I mean, there's obviously
cognitive abilities.
Some people would have like bad trips, I'm sure.
Cognitive function and ability post LSD.
That's what this microdosing is all about, is that it's supposed to make you be able to kind of focus more and have better, you're just more focused and in a better mood sort of thing.
You know, there's another solution to be more focused and in a better mood.
What sleep well and exercise regularly?
No, I was just going to say turn your Wi-Fi off for a minute.
Well, that too. That wouldn't hurt. Don't do it during the Guy and Harley podcast, though.
Turn your Wi-Fi off and put your phone down for 1 fucking second.
Unless you download it. You're allowed to.
Maniacs.
Yeah, well, so that was so to conclude, I'm not going to be taking LSD legally. I'll just have to stick to doing it illegally.
You just have to stick to taking LSD illegally and donating your LSD sperm.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
as frequently as they will allow.
My sperm is available. Update on Sperm Quest. My sperm is available for people
for consumption.
For consumption by people who want to procreate. It is available out there. I can't remember the name right now of the actual Reprobates. So Repromed is a fertility company, and if you would like to have my children, go and talk to Repromed, and I am one of the anonymous donors down there of sperm, and it's all official. It's all done. I've made all the deposits, and it's all frozen and it's all ready to rock. But as far as I'm aware, I do not have any children yet. So to all those ladies listening down at the hair salon, maybe you're my baby mama.
Well, you need to give them a call. Down there at the sperm bank
and find out.
You need to give them a bell. You need to be like, hey guys, just checking. Hey guys, Harley here, just checking in. Just want to know if anyone's used my sperm.
Well, the funny thing is that I really reckon there's only going to be a small market of women out there that are like, do you have somebody? No, not this one. No, not that one.
Well,
this one's too tall.
So
this one's too tall.
Did you take like
this one's too? He's got a full head of hair. We don't want that. We need a bald guy, shorter and bolder.
Did you take like a sort of a criminal profile photo?
Nah, there's no pictures of me.
So there's no pictures.
There's only pictures of me as a child.
So all they know
when I had my impish grin and my full head of lovely blonde hair
and zest for life.
Let's
not forget that is also gone.
My sparkly blue eyes, twinkly blue eyes.
But do they get like a brief, like a sort of...
so you fill out a form. Like, so there's a bunch of questions.
It's almost like you want to see an IQ test.
It's like a Tinder. It's like Tinder.
It's still quite vague though, isn't it?
No, it is. So basically, you've just got, there's no IQ test.
Gambling.
It is gambling. It is gambling, because you're like, well, what if this person is extremely stupid? There was no IQ test. So what if it is genetic? This person is genetically stupid, and I'm going to inherit a genetically stupid child. But I guess they can tell a little bit from the forms.
Prone to LSD microdosing. Your child will be prone to LSD.
And just shooting sperm everywhere. And so this, they do get you to fill out these forms. You answer various questions about kind of your personality. You don't like give anything away about who you actually are, but it's more like, how do you respond to stress? How do you get angry easily?
I heard both of these the other day. When I came round to your house.
Yeah. When
how you respond to stress and do you get angry easily? Was that the two questions?
Yeah.
The answer being poorly and poorly.
Yes. Poorly and yes. No, because here's what happened, right? So this was day 3 of a 4-day shoot,
Yep.
and I'm producing a short film, right?
Yep.
So it's day 3 of 4, and they announced that the country is going into red settings from orange settings. Now, obviously, that's like, okay, shit, how's this going to affect our shoot? Because we're filming the next day in red, right? So how is this going to affect the shoot? So I was like, well, okay, so I did that, and I found out how it's going to affect the shoot. Didn't really affect the shoot because our shoot was so small anyway.
Yep.
But I still felt I'd better quickly send out an email to the cast and crew just to reassure them, to explain to them what was going on, to explain to them that we can still film and that I'm hoping to see them, on set. And if they can't make it for any reason, to let me know immediately. And then in a relative hurry because we've got to get going and get to set.
You had to go to set approximately half an hour later.
Exactly. And so I wrote this email and it was all done and I worded it perfectly. It was a work of art. And then I decided to edit the subject of the email. So because I was replying to a chain of emails that had everybody in it. And I was like, I want to edit the subject. So I just pressed the edit subject button so that I could change it to like COVID update or something like that. I pressed edit subject and then Gmail, just poof, my entire email, just gone. Just like that. Just gone. The whole thing. No draft, nothing. Just gone. Completely not my fault. All I did was hit edit subject. And so at that point, I cursed at the computer. But that's my usual. I mean, that is true. That is my usual.
I just had really forgotten about that.
It's the kind of cursing where
I was literally in the other room.
Yeah.
And I could hear you.
I was like, you motherfucker.
And you're like, it was just there.
I was a fucking Gmail.
Right there. I don't know. I heard it there. It was gone. It was
fucking Gmail.
And I was like, wow, he's getting really worked up about this. I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't remember when I got this angry about something.
But I wasn't actual angry. That's the thing. Like, there's a difference between it's cathartic, basically. It's cathartic.
It's road rage for your computer.
Exactly. And it's exactly the same when I'm driving. I go, oh, fucking, what are you doing, dickhead? Fucking figure it out. But I don't, like, shake my fist at him or give him the finger or, or, like, drive aggressively or anything like that. I just cathartically let it out and let it go. And then it's gone.
Well, you're...
fucking Gmail.
She who shall be named was present.
Yeah.
And I was like...
cowering in the corner.
I was a little bit worried for her. I was like, shit. I was like, Jesus Christ. This is just over a fucking Gmail message.
Well, I wasn't swearing at her. I was swearing at the computer.
But in her vicinity, I think she would have just like... I was thinking, what is she thinking?
Yeah. No,
as you raged at your computer.
I think she thinks it's funny. I don't think she's scared.
I was scared. I was in the other room. I was scared. Scared for my life. I was like, I better get out of here before he comes raging through this way.
Explodes. Fucking Gmail. One fucking job though, right? One fucking job. Send emails. That's your job, Gmail. One fucking job, man. Like, break it all down. What's the job of Gmail? Send fucking emails. What did Gmail do? Not send the email.
I was tempted to see if I could find it, like if it had remembered you as a draft.
Yeah, but I looked at drafts and it wasn't there. Yeah. And normally it is. Normally you can find Gmail stuff quite easily, So I was like, that's why I was so like annoyed by it because I was like, well, what the hell? Like, this is the kind of the one time that I don't want this email to be delayed getting sent out. Why would it happen now? I'll tell you why. Because God's a cunt.
And he's got it in for you.
And he's got it in for me.
All the disparaging remarks you've made about him.
Exactly.
On this podcast.
Shout out to God. I know you're listening. Get out of my head.
Well, he's always listening, mate. That's kind of part of it.
He's always watching and he's always listening. He was watching when I was at the sperm clinic.
He was.
That's how
he was present.
That's actually
he's ever present.
That's actually what got me off.
You looked up and you had a moment.
Yeah, and that means that
moment.
so that I remember. So if you recall back, the first time I donated sperm, I was a little bit hungover, and I had a road rage incident on the way there where this guy, like, I swore at a guy because he didn't let me in. I was in the wrong lane. For sure, it was me in the wrong lane, and I was like, I need to get in the other lane. And I started indicating, and then he pulled in and like wouldn't let me in. And his window was down, and so was mine. So I told him what for. And then I pulled into the sperm clinic, And so that baby
angrily
gonna
rubbed one out.
And angrily rubbed one out.
Quite literally, angrily rubbed one out.
So that so that child's going to be an alcoholic, an abusive alcoholic.
Yeah.
And the next time I thought about a man, so that child's going to be gay. And then the third time I got off on God watching, so this one's going to be a deity. One day this is going to be a deity on Earth.
God mode activated.
Yeah, the emperor of mankind. So there you go, people. If the ladies at the hairdressers are still listening, they've got a 1 in 3 chance if they go to Repromed of getting either a god, or it's going to be an angry, abusive alcoholic, or it's going to be a gay child. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So there's your options. You got a 1 in 3 chance of God, though. That's pretty good.
So we did mention the cockroach problem on the
Cockroach Hour encroaches.
Yeah.
The cockroaching.
The cockroaching on the last... We've got a fucking cockroach problem. And it really... I mean, I sort of talked about it last time, but it once again hit home for me. Because last night I was minding my own business in bed when I saw a large black mass shuffle across the ceiling. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I looked up. It was a giant cockroach, which had come through the slightly ajar window in my bedroom. And I was like, shit, I can't live like this. Obviously my first instinct was to burn the flat to the ground.
The entire place.
The whole place.
Yeah.
All our gear, everything in it. Just don't even worry about it because... he and I cannot exist in the same space. But I was like, no, this has to be dealt with maturely. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to give it the spray treatment. And but the problem was it was very high up on the wall, and we've got these very high ceilings. And so essentially,
I was spraying it up, and it was raining back down into your eyeballs.
Well, I had to
into your mouth.
I had to stand up on my bed.
Yeah,
I was completely naked.
Oh, picture this!
I
want everybody at home to really just take a minute.
I was completely naked
to picture this,
which is not how I normally fight cockroaches.
So he's completely naked.
I'm not normally completely naked. I normally have some undies on at least when I'm fighting cockroaches. You should never fight a cockroach completely naked.
The adrenaline had given him an erection as well.
Oh, that's embellishment. But anyway, I was completely naked. I aimed it up. I sprayed at the cockroach, and I gave it a full dose, right? Yeah. But the problem is that it's not an automatic thing. Like they don't just, like these are hard bastards. And this was a monster among men. And so I sprayed it. And of course, I thought it was just going to drop harmlessly to the ground from where it was, right? Which would mean dropping not towards me. Except that these fucking cockroaches can fly. These are the flying cockroaches. So I sprayed the cockroach. He immediately took flight and flew directly at me.
Sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah, so he flew directly at me. As I'm naked, he's flying at me. I'm jumping around on my bed.
Yeah.
Completely naked.
Yeah.
Spraying wildly. I don't know where he is. He's on my leg. He's come down my leg. I leap off the bed, completely naked, spray in hand. The cockroach follows me down, and I spray him again. I spray him so much that it's like an icing over the cockroach. And he's still fucking going. And so then I get my shoe and I smash him, and I'd sprayed him so much that he just disintegrated. And I was just like...
It was a bit like when Obi-Wan Kenobi died. He just...
He was basically like, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Referring to the hundreds of cockroaches outside that are still there. And anyway, I was like, man, fighting a cockroach naked on my bed, at midnight was not how I planned this evening to go. This is not going to go the way you think, to quote Luke Skywalker. So anyway, that was last night, and it's just getting a little bit more and more traumatic each time with these cockroach incidents. Are we nearing the point where I actually will complain? Because I'm also seeing this thing now where I come by the side of the house and this idea that, and you see in movies when a light shines on all these cockroaches, they scurry away.
It's just like that.
I literally thought that was just a thing in movies.
It's in Resident Evil as well.
I didn't think it was fucking real. It's real on the side of our house and by my porch. So when my car drives past or I go past or the light turns on, about 5 or 6 cockroaches scurry away, some of whom scurry into the wall paneling on the side of the house, like inside.
Yeah. Well, look, I've got a similar cockroach story, which is that I was sitting at my computer and out the corner of my eye, I saw, this something kind of move, and I looked over, and then all I saw was a comically large novelty stuffed toy type cockroach that was just there on my pillow. And so
just sitting on your pillow.
Yeah, it was a novelty toy, obviously, because it was too large to be an actual cockroach. And so I just turned my head back to the computer, and then it took a wee second of realization, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a cockroach stuffed toy. What the fuck? And I looked over, and there he was, and I was like, okay. At this time, sometimes I'm kind of nice with them, I can I kind of just usher them out if I can. But in this case, when you're on the bed, I'm afraid that's grounds for instant extermination. And so I tried to catch him first, though, because I didn't have the spray. So I was like, cool, I'm going to catch this guy while I can still catch him or her. And so I got like a cup or something, and I snuck up, and then I went up to grab it, and I went whack with the cup, and all I managed to succeed in doing was it escaped, but I got one of its legs, and the cup ripped off one of its legs, and then so it fell down the gap behind my bed, and it was like, okay, like that's it. Like I wasn't going to gas this thing, but now I've got no choice because there's no way that you're going to live. I'm not allowing you to get under my bed. And so I ran for the spray and I lifted up the bed like with one hand. It was like the Hulk. I basically lifted up the entire bed. Back injury be damned. And I lifted the whole thing.
Well, at times of, great personal trauma, some people have an adrenaline dump which gives them superhuman strength. And I believe that you're talking about this very phenomenon right here, like when a baby, is
when a
trapped
mother
underneath the car and then the mum
just lifts up the car
with one hand. That's what you did.
Well, it was exactly like that. It was exactly like that. So I ripped up the bed with one hand, and in the other hand I had the spray. And this cockroach knew as well that sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And so it just came at me full speed directly towards me. And I'm holding up the bed with one hand, so I can't really run away. And I just had the spray. And so what I did was I screamed at the top of my lungs, and I sprayed it. And it was exactly like that scene in Romeo and Juliet where Romeo kills Tybalt outside in the fountain, and he's like, until it's empty. Yeah, that was exactly the same as me. It was exactly the same scene, and then it fell dead at my feet. Fortunately, mere inches away from.
It didn't quite reach you.
No, mere inches away from me, and then I just stood there, the room in disarray, and I had actually broken the wall a little bit because when I lifted up the bed, it caught the power point, and pushed that into the wall. So I pushed that into the wall.
It pushed it into the wall, though, because the wall is so soft due to the incredibly damp nature of our house that it just caved in with a little bit of pressure.
Well, I don't feel like the landlord really has a leg to stand on legally. Like, I mean, if I'm fighting the landlord's cockroach and I break a hole in the wall, whose fucking fault is that?
It's true.
It's not mine.
If you fight the landlord's pet cockroach.
Paulette asks if my sperm works. The answer is yes.
And did I film the naked cockroach attack? The answer is no, I did not. Although, again, with this whole cockroach thing, right, I was in here in the studio very late a couple of nights ago at about 2 a.m. And the studio door was open. And
Whoa. 2 a.m. and the studio door was open.
Yeah.
Everything that happens next is all your fault because that is when the Cockroach Hour encroaches. 2 a.m. The Cockroach Hour encroaches. That is when they're at their greatest strength.
That's when they're at their peak. And they were certainly at their peak. So essentially, but I'd never seen this before. So I think I let my dog out of the studio because the problem is she'll chase the cockroaches, but then she won't actually kill them.
Yeah.
She just kind of like...
So she's just giving them good exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're just stronger.
She's just running them around.
It's just training. She's training them.
Yeah. And so anyway, she went out, but all I could see, because they're fucking fast, man. These ones are like super speed cockroaches. But all I could see is like there was this like narrow pool of light going through the door. And all I could see is one cockroach scuttle into that light and then scuttle out. And then another one coming the other way, scuttle in, scuttle out. And there was like 6 or 7 of them just going back and forth, scuttling in, scuttling past this bit of this sliver. And I was like, well, I can't go outside now. I mean, I have to sleep in here. Which I don't really want to do. The couch is not that comfy in here. But I was also like, fuck, I need to film this because it's so fucking disturbing. But I didn't because by the time I got my camera ready, they'd all scuttled away. They got camera shy, I guess.
Well, look,
cockroaching.
Unfortunately, we do need to wrap this one up because I've got to go to my roller skating class.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I'm going on a road trip around the North Island. I've caught COVID and now I'm going to go and spread it around. That's my plan. I've caught COVID in Auckland and now I'm going to go and visit a bunch of people all around the North Island and just really spread that around in order to hurry up our herd immunity. And so I'm going to go on a road trip starting tomorrow, which means there won't be a show this Sunday, which is why we're doing the show randomly today. And there was no show the Sunday just gone because I was filming that movie, which we didn't really get the chance to talk about, but that went really well. And I guess we can talk about that next episode as well. But I did want to do I've got a couple of quick shout outs here before I go. Wee bit of feedback. So Hooter Moss, 5150 listener Hooter Moss, he says in regard to my Prius and the rant of the reverse rant, the reverse beep, he says if you want to get rid of that, just to cut the wires for the reverse beep, and it's quite easy. But to me, that sounds like something I'd fuck up. It sounds like I'd probably cut the brake cables or something like that by mistake. So
you can't be trusted to do that.
I can't be trusted to do that. That's right. But thank you for the suggestion, Hooter Moss. And then Sam Wheeler says, as a man in the twilight zone of Tinder, as in basically he's 49 and his Tinder profile, nobody's trying to match with 49-year-old men on Tinder.
We mentioned last ep that you've got, I was in the...
You're in the twilight zone.
Yeah, the Tinder twilight zone.
The Tinder twilight zone.
He was at Tinder. Didn't he say he was at Tinder midnight? Or is he in the twilight zone as well?
So,
midnight is the last phase.
Okay, so he says, well, I got to say, as a man in the midnight zone at 49, not twilight. So he says...
I'm the Tinder twilight.
You're into twilight at 38.
Yeah.
So he's in the midnight zone at 49.
Deep blackness all around.
And then he says his profile went off the first few days back. A few days back, and now he's dating someone hot and 6 years his junior.
Yeah, boy.
So well done to you, good sir. Shout out to you. Congratulations to you and to the lucky someone. And
don't stop believing.
He also says that the cockroaches could also be coming from the World War II bunkers and tunnels that central Auckland is riddled with. They're walled up for public safety, but they're the perfect homes for masses of cockroaches and rats. I don't think that's our problem. I think our problem is the restaurants next door who store their rubbish, their filthy food rubbish, a few meters from your house.
I'd love to take a little tour of those bunkers, though.
Yeah, oh, well, me too. I didn't know you were that interested in World War II, guy.
I'm more interested in the filming potential, but when you said but if they're all just if it's just a swarm of cockroaches down there,
I don't think cockroaches all live there. And the reason why is because if there's no humans down there, there's not much food down there, So I don't actually think there'll be heaps of cockroaches down there because what are they eating? Cockroaches want restaurants and food scraps lying around.
Human flesh.
So yes, that brings us to the end of the show because I need to drive now in rush hour traffic down into the central city to go and do my roller skating lesson for beginners. Adult roller skating
Adult
lesson
beginners.
for beginners. So
Only in Auckland, folks.
So I need to do that, and I need to get the hell out of here. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. The best way to support us is with Patreon. It's in the link down below. There's a Patreon account there. If you don't feel like being a patron of ours, another great thing you can do is hit thumbs up wherever you're watching. You can subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications if you're on YouTube to be notified when we go live. That really helps us.
Also,
yeah.
open 50 tabs.
Open 50 tabs.
Right. Put in a different ep of Guy and Harley show and just
watch them all.
you don't have
Get
to
the
watch
view-
them. Mute
no,
them
just
all.
mute them
50
all.
tabs, watching all at the same time.
Yeah.
We only need, we worked it out, we only need like 10 of our subscribers to do that.
Yeah, if 10 people watch 50 videos each, we'll reach our 4,000 hours any day now. So, because we do really want to monetize this, especially because a bunch of my work fell over when we went to red. So when we went from orange to red, a bunch of my work disappeared. So now I've really got to figure out how to monetize this podcast, lest I stop being able to afford to pay the rent. So yes, these are all great ways to help us. Please hit thumbs up wherever you are. Write us a review if you're on iTunes or on Spotify. Make sure you follow us and all that stuff because that really helps us. And we will be back. It won't be this Sunday, but we'll be back next week with another episode of the Guy and Harley podcast.
Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you later.